Hey, hello. Welcome to our fourth episode of Star Trek Intelligence here. Yes, one second here. Oh, what's this? Hey, look at that. I forgot about something. Okay, there we go. Uh, there we go.
Story of my life.
Now you're fine. Alright, so, yeah, we are at our fourth episode of the season. This is, of course, this will be a standalone episode, but still very much intelligence in origin. The, first thing to do, always, before, starting the session proper, of course, is to, you know, promote yourselves, promote plug, and move around, the metaphysical table, and, let people know what you are working on, if anything, or if you just have a project in mind that's coming up that you want to just let people know about.
I can start. I'm Lucas Santana. Usually, you can find me over on Rule of Lore. On Friday evenings for Ramblemancy, which is our roundtable style talk show, where we talk about all kinds of nerdy stuff. Sometimes with guests, sometimes just in house. But one of the things that we did just recently announce is that we are working on our next actual play, which is a season 2 of our recent zombie themed Kids on Bikes game. It will not be Kids on Bikes in season 2 to kind of reflect a tone change, but we are working on it right now, and that's all we have so far. No other information has been announced thus far, but yeah.
Yeah, and
So
also, I'll tack on to that. If you haven't watched the Tomorrow is Dead for that first season, I highly recommend it if you feel like being punched in the gut with feels towards the end. Um,
yeah,
uh,
and in all honesty, I when I was choosing the cast for that one, I knew that they were great, but I didn't exactly know how much they would just sort of take it and run with it. And I feel like I got a taste of my own medicine in that because the players definitely made me feel a lot of things. So um,
Yeah, go for yeah, keep an eye on that for Rule of Lore, and watch as he wallows in the pond of his own mistakes once again. Um, yeah, but anyone else here?
Yeah. Hi there. I'm Silver Sugar, or Risa if you prefer. I'm a digital artist and streamer. You can find me here for games like Pokemon as I try to complete like my shiny living decks or other games. As well, I'm also on Tumblr as X Silver Sugar, and you can find me there for art or ramblings and stuff. Please commission me.
All right. Uh, anything else, or are we going to just jump in?
1 second.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
just adjusting my mic. I'm so sorry. Hi. I am Little Legend, and I do not stream because I'm just not on that level, I guess. But I do have a Tumblr, and I draw stuff. Mostly Sonic, a lot of different stuff. I also draw and for characters. But well, I'm trying my best, and I hope to see you there. My art blog is Little Legend Dash Arts. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Um, with that being the case, I believe we jump into season 1, episode 4 of Star Trek Intelligence, and this episode is titled Identity. Um, but we will see you in just a moment. Welcome back. While we were away for that little intro, we just decided to mock certain platforms. But anyways, this is a bit of time has passed since the last arc here. We are actually the current in year. Don't ask me to figure out the start date off the top of my head. I can't do that. But the in universe day is February 21st, 2385. With that, there is a particular. It's kind of just been run of the mill. There's been certain missions, little less high stakes. However, you've all grasped certain duties, with Lieutenant Caraballo getting a little bit more focused on the security aspect, fitting into their home situation, with Ensign Loris learning a little bit more on the medical side. Perhaps the most interesting event is down within the. I believe it's the. Yes, it is. It is beneath in the Seoul Atlantic Field Office Forensic Lab, doing the sub-level area. As Kvai, you have improved a little bit in terms of hacking into stuff that you probably shouldn't.
What? Me? Never.
Oh yeah, certainly not.
Supervised hacking this time.
Supervised hacking. God, isn't that? I feel like that's a. Isn't that a sub article for like Anonymous or something? But with that being the case, Commander Jaloran, you are notified that the Seoul Atlantic Field Office is having a visit by a. Let me find it really quick. I typed these notes out, but I have so many. Is by a Commander Ashlyn Orso and a couple of Starfleet Command security team. They will be arriving, and that arrival is. You're not really sure what they're arriving for. You've only been notified by the San Francisco command office that that is what they will be doing within today.
Okay. So, once she got word about that, her first step would have been to touch base with Lieutenant Caraballo, since he's the security expert on hand. So she would have called him in for a quick debrief.
Okay.
He wanted to see me, Commander?
Yes. And she hands over a pad. There's not much on it. Beyond the notification that we're going to have visitors soon, Lieutenant.
It just sort of like kind of flip through it. See. And are we excited about these visitors or less than excited about these visitors?
I'm cautiously neutral about this, particularly since they're not willing to divulge the nature of their visit.
That figures.
Indeed.
How do you want to play this one? Are we, should we make ready now? Formals, all that kind of stuff? Or are we just business as usual?
Let's present as business as usual, but underlying make ready.
Understood. Any particular preparations you want me to work on?
Button up the top security areas. I don't want them anywhere near it.
Yeah, you and me both.
Anything. It's like if they request a tour, we'll carefully send them around anything to security level 2 and lower.
Okay. I'll make note of that. Sounds good. Oh, real quick, Joe. How long has it been again?
So this is on the 21st of February, and the previous, that arc took place over the course of the 4th through the 6th of February. So it's been
Okay,
a couple
just
weeks.
a couple weeks.
Mhm.
Okay.
Couple weeks,
Then
yeah.
in that case, I'll say, Commander, while I'm here, I've been just sort of going over some of the crew files, and I'm, if I may be candid, a little concerned at some of their abilities to handle themselves in the field, and I would like to start training, doing just sort of not training, but just sort of drills to keep some phaser drills, basically to keep everybody sharp, just in case.
I'll keep one of our hollow suites on reserve for you to arrange that. I would recommend small groups and large groups. So, but beyond that, I'll leave it up to you to get it arranged and cycle them through to make sure they're up to date.
Understood. I just figure since we're operating as security and many of our personnel are pulled from all sorts of places, it's a good idea to make sure everybody has a sort of standard level of field ready.
Understandable. I'll leave that in your capable hands.
Thank you, Commander. I'll make ready the rest of these things if there's nothing else.
Not at this time.
All right. And I'll sort of take the pad under arm and just sort of exit.
Okay. Going and exiting, Alec, you've two notable things is the desk for Lieutenant Commander Hone is notably vacant right now, as they have been requested by a certain member of the Admiralty for their own kind of side task. Despite the commander's little bit of protest that was a little bit more strong-armed and wasn't exactly, it wasn't really in your control. Notably, the Dr. Atherton, with the return of her wife, is currently taking some leave time away. However, arriving, you are quickly notified of the arrival of at the kind of lobby, like public lobby area of the intelligence office, Commander Ashlyn also, and the little sign and like security feeds that you're getting. It's a security team was announced, but it was by a significant margin larger than you were expecting. You were expecting, maybe like 2 or 3 as an attachment.
Wait, so they're here now?
Yes, they are here now,
Oh,
and they're not like 3 or 4. There's like 5 or 6 of them attached with her.
Okay. I am going to presume the commander has this information already, so instead I'll just turn to whatever security personnel is nearby, and just pass them the pad and say, these changes here, I want you to implement them right now.
Okay. Yeah. We can do that.
And then I will. I guess I'm going to the lobby because I don't like that we got this announced. They're being very tight-lipped, and then they just sort of showed up with like no pomp or anything like that. So
Yep.
I don't like any of this. This all sounds bad.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go head straight for the lobby. I think on the way I'm just gonna say, um, Lieutenant Caraballo to Commander Jaloran.
Commander here.
I I suspect you already know, but I'm guessing you're aware of our guest's arrival.
I am. I take it you're already on the way to give them a summary greeting?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. I'll be down momentarily.
Understood. We won't move from the lobby until you get there.
Thank you much.
And I'll just close communications and make my way there.
Okay. Arriving within this lobby here, one thing to note about their uniforms is they are similar to your uniforms, except they're much more they have a sheen to them, kind of as if the like department coloring isn't fabric but more like leather. And
Hmm.
the pips on them are not gold but rather silver.
Hmm.
And the Starfleet badge that they possess is a little different.
Is this is this something that like I would like? Is there anything about this that would stand out to me in particular, or?
You know what? You've been stuck on SB1 before, and you have seen them. This is Starfleet Federation Earth Security.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more intensive.
Okay. And the ranking officer is commander. You said.
The ranking officer is a commander, yes.
Okay. Cool. So as I'll sort of take note of all these things and walk up, say, "Welcome, Commander. We sorry we didn't have a chance to put together a more formal welcome party, but as you are aware, we didn't exactly have the notice necessary. I'm Lieutenant Alec Caraballo. The Commander Jaloran will be down shortly."
Then we're comfortable with waiting. Commander Ashlyn Orso is, if we were to cast them, would be cast by Kristen Ritter.
Oh, cool. That bodes well.
What a pull!
I'm comfortable with waiting, Lieutenant.
Perfect. Then wait we will.
She just takes a very, like, casual, relaxed type of, still, like, guarded type of relaxed stance.
Mhm.
But until the commander gets here, there is a palpable silence.
Yeah, I think
The only,
Alec is
like, thing you
perfectly.
even hear is, like, the slight exhales of breath.
Yeah, Alec is perfectly fine letting this like complete and utter silence just sit.
How long do you think it takes before the commander gets down here?
She is gonna let them sit for a couple of minutes. She is gonna take her sweet time, so it'll probably be like 5 minutes.
Okay. Just enough time for it to be really fucking awkward.
Yeah,
Yep.
and Alec offers nothing in the way of like no small talk, no like can I offer you like refreshments? None of that. He just sits there silently.
You can tell this commander does not care about that. She's not
Mhm.
worried about it. She's not bothered by it. This is just.
I
She
kind of figured. I'm
does
not.
look up you up and down and does make a slight, like, she hides it really well, but there is like a slight face of just, yeah, you're a doorstop. You're an obstacle.
Yeah, I'm not paying attention to her. I'm paying attention to the people with her.
Notably, something you'll notice is this security team. There is no one, below the rank of a lieutenant commander here.
Interesting. Okay. Sounds good.
That
Yep.
that is interesting. So after the uncomfortable silence has passed, as Jaloran shows up, she's clearly mirroring the lead commander. She's completely relaxed, unruffled, and she's pretty sure that the commander's figured out that it's like this is Jaloran's turf, and so she's trying to make that pretty clear.
Mm-hmm. She looks.
What can I do for you, Commander?
She like there's like a small like silver band on her wrist, and she taps it very quickly, and looks down at it. I am here under the Starfleet Earth Security Force to go over some discussions with your intelligence team.
Which intelligence team?
Well, I have plenty of security officers, so we can go through the entire Sol Atlantic Field Office.
I'll have to know exactly the nature of these discussions before I let you anywhere near my intelligence teams.
Security breach.
Do you have a briefing of the nature of this security breach?
I do, in fact, Commander.
May I have it?
That's not how this one works.
That's how it works in my office.
Fine. There is a potential leak and danger and vulnerability to the Admiralty office originating from here.
Side note, I'm gonna hazard a guess the Rear Admiral.
Yeah, something like that.
And then the one that Kavai hacked into.
Yep.
That's what I thought. Commander, I believe I know what this one is about. You won't have to interview my entire team. If you yourself would like to come up to my office to discuss further, and the rest of your team can wait here. She lets that trail off.
Well, I guess we're doing it the hard way then. She moves through and taps this wristband and does this kind of swing motion, and it ends up in your pad, kind of just like an airdrop. She has permission from Vice Admiral Ifra Zhao, the director of this field office.
Okay, she's transferring information, or did the two of us physically move somewhere else?
No, she's just transferring information.
Okay.
It's more or less a, in Ifra Zhao's kind of words of like, yeah, they'll be cooperative, that typical, like, bureaucratic jargon. But also followed with, like, there's a little, like, obviously there's a little bleed and subtext that you can see in there, like, just reading between the lines of, like, I don't like this either, but this kind of came from someone even above me, so.
Did I see this on the pad as well?
I think you're close enough to where you can like look over it and see it. Yeah.
I was like, hold on a second. You're pulling rank here. The commander's going to cooperate. Might even make your job easier.
The commander has her duties, and I understand that, and I have mine, and mine is more complicated than you know.
Oh, it's more complicated. Well, that explains everything. You hear that, Commander? Their job is very complicated.
I did hear
Dude.
that. It seems they underestimate the complications of our job. Which is why the commander and I are going to retire to my office and discuss this in private. Just the two of us.
Lead the way, Commander.
And she gestures for the commander to follow her as they head up.
The rest of the... Despite having, like, a pip of rank on you, Alec, like, the security officers here are officers that have accompanied Commander or so, not comfortable with this whole exchange. They dared not, like, add anything, even at your, like, lashback. They, like, nope, we're staying out of this.
As soon as the two commanders are like out of the room, I'll just turn to them and be like, "So, I'd offer you a drink, but we're all on duty. So, coffee, tea."
Some of them are a little, like, appalled at this idea of, like, I don't know where this lands me in the commander's favor. And the other's like, what else are we gonna do except stand here? So, like, a couple of them pretty reserved to the idea. The rest are like, I guess we're not doing anything else.
Great. I'll like sort of walk them over to the nearest replicator and just start like, getting them. Like, these are just people. Like, I at first was very antagonistic, but I think at this point, upon like seeing their reaction to the exchange, these are just people doing their job, and like I can
They're kind of just
respect
caught
that.
in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, just like I am. So like I think I'm just we've gone from suspicious, like you're walking in on our turf, to like we're all just trying to do our jobs here. It's fine, you know.
Getting back up to your office, Commander Jalorn. Commander Orso is upon entering kind of drops her shoulders and relaxes a little bit.
Jaloran walks over to her desk and she pulls out a pad that's obviously been pre-prepared. And then she walks it back over to the commander. It's a duplicate of a report that she's already submitted, explaining exactly, like, she's prettied it up a little bit and covered the little done a little covering, but it basically explains the exact nature of the breach, why it happened, the fact that it was they needed information quickly, so it's been all laid out very clear. And she hands it over to Commander Orso. I've already spoken with the petty officer responsible, but I've submitted this to my superiors already.
I'm aware of the submission, Commander. That's actually why I'm here. The lobby showcase bravado aside, I still need to, at the very least, have a discussion with your intelligence command team. Per your request, I will leave my security officers in the civilian portion of the field office. I, however, still do have to do my job.
So what I'm hearing is the only team that you really need to speak with is the command team.
Ideally, it would be best to check the entirety of the safe house, but the command team is more crucial. We could start with yourself, Commander, or we could go from the lower decks up, as it were.
It was only the command team that was out at the time of the incident. And I know exactly where it came from.
Well then, should you and I start our discussion? Or should I begin with a different member of the command team?
Let's get started then.
Well then. I imagine you don't have much trouble making yourself comfortable here.
No. And she gestures to one of the nearby chairs.
She'll sit down and she'll take off the kind of like braceleted device and set it on the table and tap something, and there's kind of like almost like radio waves kind of dancing across it. And tap something. This is being recorded.
Just as everything else in this office.
So, Commander, I would like you to state name and rank for the record.
Commander Jaloran.
Alright. So during your mission to G0822, you dealt with Admiral Sela.
We did.
Have you had any previous encounters with Admiral Sela?
Not personally.
Do you find intelligence to be your calling versus more traditional Starfleet? Or perhaps your calling lies elsewhere still?
This is where I've spent most of my Starfleet career.
Except for certain portions of it.
Briefly.
I do see record of Maki.
That was under intelligence orders.
True as that might have been. The Dominion War put a lot of strain on different relations. Where do you fall on the historical events of Cardassia and the Melanice?
I'm drawing a blank there.
The USS Malenice was a Excelsior-class ship that responded to a distress signal from a Cardassian ship that was booby-trapped by the Maquis and then subsequently attacked by 3 Maquis raiders. They were responding to a a bio attack by the Marquis at that time.
Mm. I was elsewhere at the time. I did not hear about it until after.
She kind of notes something and then continues. Your time on the USS Ross. Any standout events?
Involving me personally, or the entire Ross?
You personally. Going through perhaps less than sanctioned missions?
For me, it was just a normal tour of duty.
And these annotations here for the code breaking that you have so eloquently described in your report for Petty Officer Guy.
Jaloran would not have provided that.
That's the interesting thing. She seems to know about it.
Not sure how.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
She just quirks an eyebrow at that, and
Actually, you know what you could do here as well? Because I think this actually would require a check here. You could do an insight or reason security check if you wish. I had difficulty of 1.
I think that might end up being the same. Sorry. Trying to find my character sheet.
You're good.
This is what I get for being late.
Your insight is 11, your reason is 10. Your security is 3.
Okay, so yeah, there was an update there. Yeah, we'll go with insight security.
Okay.
And 3.
12 and 3. Well, you were able to pass those checks. And you're able to determine something very specific about this. She actually doesn't know about those annotations at all. She is pulling her experience and doing her own profiling of you based upon your record and knowing this is something that is within your wheelhouse and something you might do. She's kind of doing a little bit of fishing, almost to see what she can divulge.
So it's like the eyebrow quirk is comes across, it's like more of a just emotion of like, did you really think you could pull that with me? It was like But it's like she just calmly responds like, "There were no annotations."
Just had to check. Well, I think I got what I needed out of our little meeting. Could you point me in the direction of your combat medic?
Let me get you settled in one of our conference rooms, and I will summon the ensign.
I will wait with vested interest.
This couldn't
I'm
possibly
sure.
go wrong.
So she escorts the commander down to a. It'd be on one of the more open levels that civilians would have access to.
Yep.
And then she steps out into the hallway and just taps her comm badge. Ensign Loris?
Yep.
Yes?
I need you to report to the civilian conference room.
Yeah, I'm coming. I'm sorry. She's gonna make her way there.
Okay. Notably, the commander also has kind of made it clear these are one-on-one discussions. You can be outside, but these are one-on-one discussions.
You can hear her just basically running over there and kind of like awkwardly standing by the door, kind of knocking on it.
Well,
Even though
she would meet Jaloran out in the hallway.
Oh, wait.
Jaloran's still there. She's out in the hallway waiting for her.
Oh, she's already there. Sorry.
Very good.
So, Mira would walk over to her. Do you need me for something, ma'am?
Not me in particular, but we have visitors in the building today.
Oh.
Team from Earth Security. They're here to discuss a matter from our latest mission, well, not latest, but a recent mission that we had out on the Hypatia.
Oh, that one. Are you sure they want to discuss it with me, ma'am? I'm not doubting you or anything. I barely even done anything there. You know?
I understand, but they speak with every person on the command team that went out, and it's all one-on-ones.
Oh, that sounds extremely suspicious. I guess, alright. If my input would be of any value.
Do the best you can, Ensign. She
Yes,
gestures
ma'am.
towards the doorway. The commander is Ashlyn Orso.
Got it. She knocks on the door and kind of like peeks in.
She remembers to, like, just before she peeks in, Jaloran just softly states, "Remember to be respectful."
Yeah, I'm always respectful.
I'll be out here if you need anything.
She, peeking in, Ensign Loris, you were able to see, Commander Ashlyn Orso with that kind of slightly more sheened type of Starfleet uniform, sitting very straight and proper. There is a recording, like holographic recording device going, and she is going over a data pad, as she takes note of you. Take a seat, Ensign.
Right. She kind of awkwardly takes a seat, trying to actually look as properly as proper as possible, straightening her back and like making her shoulders straight as well. but it still looks a little awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So I was told you were here to ask about the last mission, right?
One of them.
Hmm.
Tell me, Anson, what is your opinion of the Seoul Atlantic Field Office thus far?
It's welcoming and very efficient. I do. I very much enjoy my time here.
I imagine your time here is better served than street fighting.
She kind of sighs a little bit to herself. She was hoping that would be brought up. Yeah, it's good to be useful.
Yeah, you have a impressive record.
You could say that. Yeah.
Your artificial tech.
You mean my eye?
Your eye, correct. Is it separate from any sort of external neural linkings?
It's just an eye. It can't connect it to anything. I can't think it's not that I know of. Uh, it's just to help me see instead of what I lost, the one I lost. I didn't have that much money to splurge on something more with more
Curious.
features.
You were stuck in the black market scale of not having the free range of Starfleet technology beforehand. Find that fascinating. Perhaps you had, shall we say, under the table dealings with certain less than savory individuals?
Oh, no. Let's get this clear. I
That is
never
my job.
dealt I never dealt with anything black market stuff. Uh, I I was just always the grunt work, just on the ring, uh, always in the sights of observers and such. If anything, maybe some of the people I knew were into that stuff. I never asked. It's not my thing, not my business, none of that.
So, follow orders, don't ask questions.
Well, I never like that saying. It's safer not to ask, and it just gives you a peace of mind, I guess.
She types something on the pad and shuffles that away and sets the pad aside. How do you feel about the Seoul Atlantic Command team?
It's a good team, but people are extremely smart and uh, pleasant, and they are a great team. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I think I've fulfilled my questionnaires for you, Ensign. You're dismissed.
Okay. Thank you. She looks a little bit confused, but she still stands up and walks out the door.
Commander or so looks kind of out the door a little bit, where I presume Commander Jalorn is still there. Um, if you would be so kind to send in your fiery lieutenant at any point.
She turns to the ensign. Ensign Loris, I believe you'll find Lieutenant Caraballo down in the entrance lobby. Could you go get him? And
Yes.
I believe he's keeping the rest of the team company. If you could switch spots with him for a moment.
I
Okay.
guess I can entertain a couple of people. I'll be quick.
This is gonna go so well. I'm just very excited for this.
The scene is different for you, Ensign Loris, comparative to what you were expecting to see, like this tense standoff. It truly looks like people at like the bottom of like a hotel with coffee at this point. Like, what else are they gonna do? They're somewhat relaxed.
You walk in as Alec is saying, and then there was a hole in his damn suit, and then just like everybody just starts laughing and just like
They all just kind of stop for a second, like, just as Ensign Loris shows up, like, oh, we've all been caught. What do we do?
Ensign, good to see you.
Yeah, you're being called for.
I just sort of put my hands on the table and say, well, gentlemen, and hopefully we can continue this conversation later. And I'll stand. And as I walk past Ensign Loris, I'll just sort of look at her and go, "Did you just finish getting grilled?"
Not really. I mean, in some sort of way, I'd say yes.
You all
It's
right?
weird. It's weird. She just keeps asking about. I thought should be asking about, Starfleet stuff. But she was kind of going a little bit too deep. You'll get it.
All right. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
Feel free to keep our guests entertained. Most of them are all right. They're just people doing their jobs.
Entertained, you say? Well, I know a couple of ways to do that. And she kind of cracks.
We're
I just sort of
we're just drinking, Vacchino.
I just look at her and I go, I don't want to know, and I just will walk away.
There's a couple that are like,
And
wait, what does that mean?
As he's walking away, he hears loud, like her booming voice. She's finally like laying up. All right, guys. So, which one of you wants to have an arm wrestling match?
Oh my god.
We're just corrupting everyone.
Hey, they said entertain. That's how she entertains.
Yes.
And you just
Okay,
discovered
you know what?
that Jalorn sent her down there.
This one's on me. I didn't specify. This one's on me, you guys. I own this.
Yeah,
love
as
this so
you
much.
hear that departure, you're... I'm guessing Jalorn's there before entering.
Yes, she has not moved from outside the door.
I'll walk up. So, what can I expect in there?
From what I can tell, they're interested in the backgrounds of the command team.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here goes nothing. See you on the other side, Commander.
You as well.
And then I'll step in, and I'll just sort of stand. I'll immediately, as I walk in, stand to attention.
That won't be necessary, Lieutenant.
Good. And I'll just sort of relax and walk and take a seat.
Lieutenant Caraballo, you have a particularly interesting record.
How so, Commander?
I know someone slightly adrift when I see one.
Well, you and the rest of all of my previous superior officers, apparently.
What does it say in this report? Disobeying direct orders. Shuttlecraft incident?
That sounds about right.
Aside from saving your crewmates, any particular objective you had in mind there?
Um, that depends, Commander. Any particular objective you're expecting?
Just what you can offer, Lieutenant.
Is it generally expected that a Starfleet officer attempting to save the lives of his crewmate would have any ulterior motives?
You work in intelligence, Lieutenant.
I do now.
I appreciate that answer. It says here, on certain marks, had you complied with them, you'd probably actually have attained the rank of Lieutenant Commander.
That's most likely the case.
Was your opinion on the Sol Atlantic Field Office here? The command team and its general structure.
Well, I'll say this. It's an unusual assortment of individuals, but unusual enough to get the job done. There's a lot of talented folks here.
And your commanding officer? Commander Jaloran?
I will admit, in the past, I've had my gripes with authority. Not that this is motivation for any of my actions in the past, just simply my commanding officers were something to be endured. Over the last few weeks, I've found a certain amount of respect and admiration for Commander Jaloran. She runs a tight ship, but she knows what needs to be done when it needs to be done, and isn't afraid to do it.
I have gotten that feeling from her, yes. Definitely not afraid of the ability to push back when it's warranted.
I'm not really sure what you mean by that, Commander.
Just an observation, Lieutenant. That's all.
Hmm.
Though, I suppose as a security officer, I will offer you a rare opportunity.
And what's that?
I'm sure you're curious as to why I'm here.
As you said, I work in security.
Commander, you have chosen well. That'll be all, Lieutenant.
If I may, Commander,
She kind of just waits patiently.
as far as any kind of breach, I feel like I don't need to remind you that Regulation 3, Paragraph 12 says that in the event of imminent destruction, a Starfleet captain is authorized to preserve the lives of their crew by any justifiable means. Commander Jaloran authorized whatever she felt needed to be done in that moment, facing off against one of Starfleet's most dangerous adversaries. Far outgunned and well out of our depth. We did what we had to do to save lives.
I appreciate that sentiment, Lieutenant. You're dismissed.
He'll nod and then exit.
She kind of calls, just slightly raised voice, not forcefully. I believe that leaves one left, Commander Jaloran.
It does indeed, Commander. And she nods to Lieutenant Caraballo. I believe Petty Officer Kavai is downstairs in the lab.
I'll let her know. I'll make my way down to the lab.
Okay. Heading down to the lab, the individuals down here, they're kind of strange people to begin with between Lieutenant Yana and Ensign Petrovich. They're in the process of doing an interesting, like, upgrade to, Juno's interface that will make her just a little bit more autonomous should the office be compromised in some fashion. And they're kind of going through, and Kavai is actually probably within the hololab that she is been
And
granted.
it is an absolute mess in here right now. We've got... Are you guys familiar with the show Leverage at all?
A little bit, yeah.
I am.
Think Hardison style. Like, this is a nerd space, and we even have beanbags right now that have been strewn about. We're working. It's comfortable. We're getting this done.
I'm hoping among some of that work is the homework Jaloran's been giving her.
Absolutely.
I'll sort of walk in and go, do these pieces go to important places?
Yes, please don't touch that or step on that. Thank you.
Great, yeah, I was really looking forward to keeping all of my fingers today. Petty Officer, you are requested in the conference room.
I look up and you see she's got a pair of goggles on at present, and I take them off, and you just get this like bleary-eyed blink of, you're asking me to leave? Like, this does not compute with the day's plans. You are changing something on her, and you get this wave of like this like, no, people don't ask me to change gears like this. We've established this. But then you get this like immediate wave of like calm and just like, nope, I've got this. We've been working on stuff. Okay, give me just a second. And she will take the goggles off, place them down with the rest of her chaotic workspace.
What is this regarding?
In all honesty, I'm not actually entirely sure on that point.
I'll give you the biggest eyebrow raise.
We have some visitors from Earth Security who are doing a bit of an inquest of some kind, the purpose of which has not been entirely disclosed.
I give you the full like up and down at that point. Like, what's your body language like?
I think probably tense, but not like. Yeah, I think you could tell that just like Alec is very tense at the moment, but not as if there's any sort of like imminent like threat or
Gotcha.
stress or anything like
Gotcha.
that. It seems more like residual, I would say. Residual tension.
I
He
see. So strictly professional then.
I will
yeah,
straighten my uniform
unfortunately.
and probably like if there's like anything that's like out of place, I will like probably even like take off whatever wig I've been wearing for the day and fix my natural hair, straighten everything out.
I'll
Understood.
I just shrug and just say, I'm sorry to pull you away like this, petty officer. I know you're in the middle of things, but we're all being pulled in and grilled a little bit, so it just happens to be your turn.
Grilled.
Well,
Is it going to be
Yeah.
hot?
in a manner of speaking. No, you should be fine as long as you just he'll sort of hesitate and kind of give you sort of a like quick little like narrowed eyes kind of like thing and just say, just don't make it too obvious you're hiding anything.
She just kind of does like the little fish face for a second of just like wanting to say something and then just not knowing how to continue with that and then nods.
I will do my best.
I have also a little bit of warning here. My gut tells me that you're the person that this commander really wants to speak to. So the rest of it, I think, is largely for show.
Immediate change of tone. She pales
Mhm.
and just very quietly says, "Oh."
We
Almost more as if she's been like you get the sense off her that it's more or less like, "Oh, this is the other shoe."
Alec, you'll see that Alec will like he very clearly has noted this reaction and just nods and says, "Look, if I know anything about the commander, she has your back. So do we."
Thank you. That is much appreciated.
All right. Best not keep the officials waiting. They
Of
really don't like
course.
that.
And she'll actually sort of with that nervous energy as if she's like bouncing it off, like shake her hands as she's leaving the room and sort of like almost jog out, but 2 steps out of the door, it's back to normal walking because this girl don't cardio.
Okay, as you head up to the conference room, because this is kind of where things are gonna get a little interesting. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our 10 minutes a little early.
Ooh.
Y'all, I'm scared.
But we will see you within that 10 minutes time, hopefully. We're 2 for 2. We can make it 3 for 3. We'll see. Probably not, but
Hell yeah. I believe in us.
Well, now I won't do it.
Oh yeah, number.
that's fair.
No.
All right, we'll see you. We'll see you
Just-
guys. We'll see you
just
guys
send
in
them to
10
Gremlins.
or maybe. And we're back. Hey, you know what? 3 for 3. Don't worry. Don't get used to it. We will mess this up at some point. It's just the
Don't
nature of
worry.
it.
No, don't jinx us.
It's gonna happen. It just will. It'll be my
You
fault more
just
than
gotta,
likely too.
just gotta wait for it.
Yeah. Quick little thing before we jump into the second half of the session, because I forgot about that. Should we hit the 30 follower mark here, there is a little deck of playing cards that I am willing to do a US exclusive, unfortunately, just because that's the resources that we have. but a Rune and Relic STA Star Trek Intelligence playing card deck giveaway here. If
Pretty.
Ooh.
y'all
Ooh,
can see
so
that.
fancy.
That's so cool.
But if we hit that 30 follower mark, we'll have that giveaway during one of our sessions, and cool things will happen, and slow building, but we'll get there. Anyways, jumping back into the session here, let me double check something. Yep. Jumping back into the session, Petty Officer Kavai, you are approaching the conference room. Commander Jaloin is waiting.
Commander,
She gives Kavai just a warm look and nods at her. Take a deep breath, Petty Officer.
yes,
They are aware of the hack into the rear Vice Admiral, into the Rear Admiral's records.
I see.
I've already submitted a report. Explained everything. But by the sounds of it, she's interested in something else. But everything will be fine. You're not going anywhere. Your place is
At
here.
that, you see like noticeable relief.
Ah. Yes. Thank you. Understood.
Another deep breath.
Yes.
And I
It'll be fine.
will-
And she gestures for Kavai to enter the room.
And I will head in.
So the posture for Commander Orso here for Kavai, being portrayed by Kristen Ritter and having that very palpable, like, serious toned nature of that, like, Jessica Jones energy to her.
Yeah, there is just immediate upon like the barest hint of eye contact. Kavai has to immediately look away, and there is a just like the best way I can describe this is queer panic.
That's fair.
Very
no,
fair.
No,
Yeah.
no, I gotcha. Alright,
I'm really hoping that derails the commander a little bit.
Like we thought we were nervous about one thing, but now we're just nervous for a whole other reason. And this is today is going great for Kavai. We're so uncomfortable.
you can take a seat, Petty Officer, unless you prefer to stand.
She just has like this moment of hesitation of like looking at the chair, and then sort of almost like faking eye contact. I think I would prefer to stand.
Suit yourself. How are you enjoying your stay at the Seoul Atlantic Field Office?
I enjoy it very much.
Well, has and your background in diplomacy? This is certainly
I-
not your typical wheelhouse.
At that, she immediately like almost takes like a half step back because her actual record is like I don't think anyone here would know she has a diplomatic background yet.
Yeah,
And now it's full panic.
Maybe you should sit.
She sort of like does so, but in that like stiff way of someone who looks like they're about to pass out.
Mm-hmm.
So you know my parents then?
Yes, and I also know that there is a slight...
Yes, it is a problem.
There's a
It would have
slight...
been easier for me to seek asylum rather than doing what I did. I am aware that it was wrong. And I apologize.
seek asylum.
Oh, so you don't know them that well.
There's like a tense like smile on her face that very
No,
bitter.
At the very least of syndicate activity.
Well, it's good to have that confirmed.
I tend to pay attention. And your... shall we call it a bump key for your programs and punching into secure locks? Is this your design? Self-taught?
Yes,
Impressive.
thank you.
So you are aware of, despite the nature and the strenuating circumstances that led to it, you're aware of the severity of breaching Admiralty security codes.
That was accidental, I assure you. And it will not happen again.
There's like a sort of like you get that like sense of doubt where it's like it's not that she's lying on purpose, it's that it really was an accident. And she doesn't know how she does what she does. It's an interesting like way in which Kabai is sort of unable to lie.
Curious. You say won't happen again, but should a event occur where it is required for the mission, all evidence to the contrary, I believe you would.
Sort of looks away, shifts awkwardly in the seat. I thought that she's human, correct?
Yeah, she's human.
I am aware that self-preservation is highly regarded in your societies. It is the same in ours.
There's not a confidence when she says that either. It's just sort of she doesn't know what else to say and is just so uncomfortable.
Accidental or not, petty officer, should it ever be required again, would you be able to replicate your accidental breach?
What do I get off that? Like, is there a way that I can sort of try to figure out why she's asking this?
Yeah, hold on. This is an insight security check with a difficulty of 2.
Okay, which dice do I trust today?
Isn't that the question?
let's do you and my green one. You said insight and what?
Insight security.
Okay.
Difficulty 2.
Well, I rolled a 7 and a 19. What can I do here to make that not happen? What do I got? Ugh. You know what? Fuck it. I'm letting I'm letting that stay as is. I'm not even gonna fight it.
Okay, interesting. Alright, still half of a success. She is, for all intents and purposes, she is tossing a line into the water and seeing what bites you.
Gotcha.
And you're also, like, trying to get a gauge as to what she's wanting out of this. Your kind of hesitance in responses thus far have been what she has wanted, is what you're able to gauge.
I lean into that, but I also I think Kavai would allow herself to just sort of retreat back a little bit, think about the stuff that got her here, and settle herself and try to I don't know how to explain this. Just sort of, she doesn't have control over what she gives off, but she's trying to rein it in a little bit more than normal. Because that makes her uncomfortable. But she would say, I could do it again if asked. If that is what you're implying. It's hard to forget something once you've learned it.
If it came down to the matter of the security of the greater Starfleet and Federation versus one's own self-preservation, would you perform such a task?
If it would result in anyone being hurt, no.
Interesting. I have the necessary information that I have. Petty Officer, you're dismissed for the time being, but I may likely call the rest of your command team. Please send the commander in on your way out.
Understood.
And she'll get up, take a few steps, and probably before reaching the door, pause, look down. But without, like, looking back, just ask,
Are they well? You know.
As well as anyone can be in that profession.
Stubborn old man. She'll walk out.
Okay. Kavai, you walk out. Commander Jaloran is there already, still waiting.
She sort of, when walking out and once the doors, like, like not in view of this stranger who has just suddenly turned her day from like, oh awesome, great day, to I hate everything. She's not even able to put up that wall of I'm doing a job today. It is just immediately you're getting like a very casual level of exhaustion. Her shoulders are dropped. Her posture is just like done.
Kawai like might be a little bit more aware this time around. It's like last time she was like very focused on something else. So she may notice this time around that whatever waves of emotion that she's giving off, Jaloran seems completely unfazed by it all. It's like she doesn't seem to be affected by Kawai's emotional state. Like others, she might notice a little bit of a hesitancy or something of that sort, but like Jaloran, nothing.
I feel like that's almost like a relief sort of thing, and her expression sort of changes from everything is bad to okay, well at least I'm not ruining someone else's day. Again. Well,
Breathe, petty officer.
that was less than pleasant.
I gathered. It hasn't been exactly pleasant for any of us.
I'm mildly surprised I am allowed to be here. But you Starfleet folks are constantly surprising me.
I chose you, Kawai. You're under my wing, and you'll stay here for as long as you need to be.
I think you just get this, like... Nope, never mind. I'm not even gonna...
Okay.
I believe there's something in the kitchen if you want to go rummage before you go back down to the lab.
Why must you tempt me with delicious things? And she will turn and head off instead, like, towards the kitchens instead of back to work.
Once Kawai is around the corner, Jaloran will step into the conference room.
You have a fascinating team, Commander.
Not the first time I've heard that.
Well, it certainly won't be the last.
Are you finished here, or...?
No, this is the initial
So I gathered.
check-in. I wanted to test the social resolve of your team, Commander. And from my witnessing here, they have passed with flying colors.
My choices are always very deliberate.
Very, very particular. They, you're a little bit more methodical than people I've interacted with in the past.
I did used to do research.
Would you be curious in doing it again? With your command team?
Who says I ever stopped?
Good answer. Commander, I came here under the guise of interrogating your team and facility. And while part of that remained true, and pulling certain bits of rank, as distasteful as it is, sometimes you have to make a show of things. I think it's clear to you to some degree that I am not part of Earth security.
I pegged that quite some time ago.
And to alleviate any suspicion, nor am I part of Section 31.
That is a relief.
Though
Though there is one captain I would like to get back in touch with sometime. It'd be nice to share a plate of pancakes with him.
I don't know what that means, but sure. No, I have a task for your team, Commander, and one that requires a little bit of prep time and discussion.
Will this require the MTech?
Likely, but more... I'll give you a moment to think it over, of how you wish to approach your team with this, and I will head to the MTech facility and wait patiently as the debrief can be done there.
I'll have Lieutenant Carabaya escort you.
I'm sure he'll love it.
He's a joy company.
He seems to be.
I don't know about you, but I love his conversations.
Okay. Splitting off from there a little bit.
Does the commander give Jaloran a pad, a briefing pad of any sort?
No, this one feels like it's being played very close to the chest here.
Okay.
I just want it known that when Alec escorts Commander Orso, he launches into, he launches into just like a whole like diatribe about like engineering semantics and like just very specific stuff, just like going into excruciating detail on meaningless nonsense that would only be of interest to like engineers, and it's just going off.
That's actually
Info
really
dump.
funny because she reciprocates and seems to understand every bit of it, and
That's
probably
very funny
more
because
in depth than you do.
probably it starts out as just like a small piece of just like rebellion, but it turns into a real actual discussion.
Friendship!
Oh no. Oh no, two nerds meet.
Yes!
Well, that is an interesting theory, but there are a couple of sub-articles that don't meet that merit, Lieutenant, as I've done such.
Huh. Interesting. Well, if you have any reading that you'd like to send my way, I'd be very interested in any additional information on this, because I once thought I was going to go into engineering, and I've found it useful to stay apprised of these things, as even though it's not my primary discipline.
I'll think about the reading material. I'll consider it. I don't think I'll hand that out freely, as you have the makings of a troublemaker. But skipping ahead a little bit and entering into this MTech facility, Jolene, you got to kind of design a little bit. So what does this MTech facility look like?
It's like on one wall, it's like it's a set of screens. It's broken up a little bit, but there's one large screen in the middle, and then there's some smaller screens off to the side with like that are capable of pulling in like very specific details to parcel out. Like you get the overall picture on the large screen, and then you can pull out specific parcels of information on the smaller screens. And on the sides are stationed consoles, so that is like if somebody needs to go over and work and pull up even more specific information, they have a place to do that. And then there's the large conference room table in the middle that also has set into them individual like kind of like those really small desktop computers that you occasionally see.
Yeah.
And it's like at each seat. But there's definitely plenty of room in between each. That if there are pads or like even like the old-fashioned paper and pencil, there's plenty of room to spread out. But so it's not like a huge room so that it feels overwhelming. It's just like one of those medium-sized, plenty of room to move around and work, but it's also still close quarters to be comfortable.
An impressive facility, Commander. I will admit, I appreciate this more than the San Francisco one.
I had a little help with the design, and I'm pretty pleased with what we came up with.
As am I. I imagine all of you are relatively comfortable. I'll take that as a yes.
I believe everybody's in the room now.
She takes a pad and again kind of does that like slide maneuver and pushes into that kind of larger screen feed, and it is it is a profile like dossier of all the lists of Admiral Sela. I'm guessing you need no introduction to her. Normally we would send her to a Romulan facility to be tried there. However, given recent events and the happenings over near Romulus and Remus, that is not an option. That being said, she is being transported from a Earth prison to one that is, well,
Discreet.
we've decided and have agreed, as strained as our relationships are still to this day, she'll be held at a Cardassian prison facility, as they are known for being thorough. That being said, there is we assume there's a leak in our transport plans. We have syndicate activity indicating that a sect of a Orion syndicate being more bold and Alpha Quadrant based may, in fact, make a move to free the good Admiral here in exchange for a potential favor. as you know, Admiral Sealer is no stranger to making deals with outside forces to get what she wants.
So let me guess. We're playing escort on this one?
To some degree, yes. However,
What's the other degree?
this has to be a close to the chest operation, Commander. Meaning your command team, that's who goes on the mission. No more and less. That is it. You also won't be using a Starfleet vessel.
I hazarded a guess that the Hypatia would be staying docked for this one.
Correct. However, we have been graced by certain, well, off in Europe we have, shall we say, connection to some Orion resource. And there is a Orion cruiser that will use for the transport of the prisoner that is Admiral Sealer.
Which will also provide us some cover.
Correct. However,
Not to be this person, but doesn't using Orion transportation just paint a target on our back with the Syndicate? I mean, won't that make it easier for the leak to pinpoint?
that's the idea.
Well, now you've fully lost me.
We're bait, Lieutenant. We're deliberately trying to draw them out.
Great. You ever been fishing, Commander? Doesn't usually turn out so well for the worm.
You will not be traveling alone, Lieutenant. You will have support. However, as much as a high-profile target of keeping Admiral Sealer in custody is, having a leak within Starfleet is much more risky. Ideally, we can catch and keep both, Lieutenant, but we do have to worry about a potential leak. A potential leak threatens all intelligence ops.
I don't like it.
There are some missions we can't exactly choose, Lieutenant.
Oh, I understand. I just want my feelings on the matter clear.
I understand, Lieutenant. Which is why this leads to the other portion of the slight complicated plan. An Orion corvette cruiser, helmed by primarily and commanded by a human crew, is very rare. And I know
I
a
don't think I
little
like where this is going.
bit that the petty officer is practiced in holo novels and holo programming.
You're suggesting hollow masks?
Hollow masks. In addition to that, Petty Officer Kavai, have you ever had the concept of designing a holographic crew with heat signatures to mimic life signs?
I have one already.
Very studious.
For anyone else, you would just get this like wave of like embarrassment.
Mm-hmm. Well then. I would study up on the systems for the Orion ship.
Are we able to get the specifics, the plans for this specific Corvette? It'd be easier to work with.
If I know the designation, I could provide information as well. I have traveled on them before.
This Corvette has been, shall we say, acquisitioned from the Ross.
Mm-hmm. That gets an eyebrow quirk from Jaloran. It's like she has a feeling of like exactly which one it is.
Using
Shouldn't be
the
too difficult
21st
to.
century term, but wings will be up in 72 hours.
I believe we can manage something in that time.
Well then. The rest of you should get to studying. And good luck to all of you. And the way she leaves the MTech facility is much more relaxed and calm than her initial, entry. Like, where she was entering very antagonistic, she kind of left much more neutral.
God damn it, I watch her leave.
Of course.
Kavai.
What?
More embarrassed, and she just sort of like puts a hand over her face and just like, why am I like this?
You know, one of these days, one of the people addressing us from Starfleet higher up is gonna be an asshole all the way through. And I just hope I'm there to see it.
I know a couple. Perhaps they'll make a visit one day.
On second thought, maybe I don't want to be there for that one. Alright. I'll start packing.
Alright.
I'll send you the schematics for the security systems on the Corvette.
Yeah. They're pretty easy to parse through because there's record of it already. However, an Orion Corvette, it's a small ship.
Where's all the hidden stuff? There's bits and compartments everywhere. This is a Firefly ship times 20.
Yep, pretty much. But yeah, an Orion Corvette, it's not a huge ship, but it does have... It's still pretty large. It's a little larger than a runabout. And it has 2 decks to it. It's a little bigger than a runabout. It's hitting that size of being just a little smaller than a Valiant class ship, which is the lead into a Defiant class. because a Corvette, I believe, if I remember correctly, can have like a crew can be crewed up to like I think it's 12 people comfortably. So still a fairly large ship. Just it's not its systems, however. The best way to put this is certainly not Starfleet tech. It is a little bit more archaic in nature. But going through the plans, and we're gonna time skip just a little bit ahead again here. Towards as the Ryan Corvette is actually like on a platform on Earth. Unfortunately, it's at the San Francisco Command Center, so either take a shuttle or transport.
Yeah, and in the few hours that we would have had, Jaloran would have worked with Mira and Kavai to tweak Kavai's program for mimicking life forms and masking.
There's much like frantic. Do we have to look at this part of the code? Can we leave that alone? Let me just edit this first. This is a rough draft. Nobody needs to see this.
Yeah, and Jaloran is like the steady anchor through it all, and she reminds Kavai of the ghost ship program that they came up with on the Hypatia, where they can modify it. And it's like she easily works around the panic, and she calls on Mira's input on the life signs. How accurate are they? Are they good enough?
And it gets to a point where it's every plan has its flaws, and nothing is going to be perfect. And the life signs, they're not going to be 100% accurate. That's just the nature of holographic life, like decoy signatures. However, they do still fall within like the 89% believability, which is significantly higher than this ship should realistically you thought it was going to perform. Notably, when you are finally ready to depart and this ship begins lifting off and taking that, because the Orion Corvettes are surprisingly fast. I think they go up to like warp 6 or 7. And unlike the smooth transition of a Federation ship, where you can just kind of feel the light hum of a warp drive engage, you can feel this in the deck plates. As it begins to kind of rumble a little bit, and you can almost hear this slight, large kind of electronic charging noise before jumping into warp.
Alec is like grumbling. It's like this is what happens when you put the ionic displacement grid next to the molecular induction coil. Like just.
Jaloran is just relishing the feel of the throb, and it's like it kind of takes her back to some older ships that she's been on. So it's like it's a familiar, familiar yet not thrum for her.
I feel like I'm about to be
like
rattled apart.
She's so she.
Oh, if you say it's gonna rattle apart, Kavai will give you the biggest stink eye.
Oh no, I say I feel like I'm about to be rattled apart.
Oh no.
But yeah,
John is just like half amused and relishing it all.
Yeah, the trip to Cardassia Prime actually yields no problems, surprisingly.
That makes me even more nervous.
Oh, it sounds fine.
To be clear, we have do we actually have Sela aboard?
You do, actually.
I don't like that.
Oh, that shifts my tone as well.
Yeah, like Alec is very much on edge this whole time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You didn't catch that already? And it's like I knew that from the start.
I thought we were like,
Escorting another ship.
yeah.
Yeah, I would.
What does bring
Alec,
some
I'm-
relief? No, continue.
I was just gonna say I'm super on edge because we weren't allowed to bring anybody else, which means security is extremely. It's basically entirely on me at this point, and this is one of like the Federation's worst enemies, and she's just on board.
Yeah, these scanners for you, Alec, because you're probably at the security station for this Corvette, detect a ship that is only, maybe 5 times the size of this vessel. Decloaking. And it's a Federation signal.
Okay. Commander? We have a decloaking Federation vessel.
What's the signature?
Can I tell just from looking?
Registry is very particular registry number. It's the USS Defiant.
We've got it's the Defiant, Commander.
Are they hailing?
They are.
Yes, Commander. Should I put them on screen?
Put them on screen, us audio only.
Understood. I'll do that.
Okay. You would see the very perhaps famous and familiar form of Colonel Kira. I hope we didn't spook you.
At that point, she signals to Alec to bring up the video.
I'll put it up.
Good to see a familiar face.
I apologize for not making ourselves known sooner, but I think you and I are both familiar to the term compartmentalization.
Very. What can we do for you?
Well, as long as... and you can stun her if you want. We'll transport her to the prison station from here.
She's been rather annoying. I think we could all use a break. She sends a quick signal down to Mira to make sure the prisoner is asleep.
Yeah, I mean, she's in a brig. Like, stunning her is not going to be hard.
Are we ready for transport?
I don't think there would be anything that would stop it from happening. Let me double check really quick. Yeah, no. Nope, the transport of the prisoner happens relatively quick and without issue.
We'll let you get on your way. We'll run interference if needed.
Oh. At least it's a fast ship. And Defiant cloaks once again as it heads a little deeper into Cardassia Prime. You're not really sure where this like prison station necessarily is, and it kind of dawns on all of you. You weren't really told specifically where it was just to get to Cardassia. It is kind of playing that game of like, it is one of the unfortunate things with like being in intelligence. Sometimes you're just a
We're told
chess
what's
piece
necessary.
to be moved.
Yeah. Only what's needed to get the job done.
Yeah. Upon to you do get like a long distance hail from Commander Orso.
She signals to Alec to start like a very roundabout route. Not quite the way we came back, but like something like to like basically throw people off our trail as to why we were there in the first place.
Yeah.
So she has him lay that in. And she brings up the hail from Commander Orso.
Glad to see that the prison transfer went swimmingly. Commander,
This part of it, anyway. I
went
have a
fine on
feeling the
our
hard
end.
part.
You were pursued, but it has been dealt with.
I won't be fully comfortable until we're back at headquarters.
If you want, Commander, and I believe she says she owes you a favor. There's a civilian palace class cruiser that is willing to do a bit of an escort job.
The escort would be welcome.
The palace class like science cruiser isn't much larger than an Orion corvette. It's still a bit larger because it has 3 decks and can contain a shuttlecraft. But once time moves forward and you arrive back at the orbit around the Earth space dock and the higher orbit of Earth, and kind of that like slight peaking of the sun and moon just a little bit off. However, as we did at the completion of the first arc at this episode, we will also do a little bit of a time forward as well. We're gonna do 2 jumps actually. We're gonna jump far forward in time and then jump a little forward in time for the audience, just so they don't get horribly confused. This first jump, as we move past, as events have taken place over the course of time. April 5th, 2385. It's late at night. And it's to the point where it's about to cusp into April 6th. Kind of in the just taking a breath in the like break area of the Madrid field office. Lieutenant Caraballo, you're going through ship entries of Utopia Planitia that were being used to build for the Romulan evacuation effort. And one of the ships that was being refit at the time, and you have no way of knowing as of right now, as everything is a hectic and chaotic mess. But the USS Canterbury was going through a refit at Utopia Planitia. And Juno is the one who actually gave you this news. I apologize, Lieutenant. I figured you would want to know instead of finding out later.
Thanks, Juno. Let me know of any updates, anything.
I will keep you apprised as I get them.
Thank you.
We kind of pull the camera back a little ways as we kind of pull, and there's this long distance and this heavy tone of this question in the back that you know everyone is having in their minds at this moment throughout all of Earth and the nearby Federation and Starfleet areas of just how did this go so wrong? And now we're gonna jump a little bit forward, but not as far forward. The USS Hypatia, her hallways are dimmed. There is the red alert signature going throughout the ship. The crew itself seems to be almost vacant. And with that being the case, there is something aboard this ship. And the only two people that are really aware of it are Petty Officer Kavai
What?
and Ensign Loris.
Oh no.
Oh shit.
But we will approach that with our upcoming episode, a two-parter known as Lockdown. With that
Oh no,
being
space COVID.
well, way to derail the ending.
Well, we're done. That's it. Goodbye.
But yes. So for those of you who, wow. For those of you who don't know, we're gonna end a little early just because it just makes better for timing for everyone else here, just because of how people's lives work. But in addition to that, next week we won't have a session either because I have a personal obligation to attend. But after that, we should, the week following, be back into a regular swing of things here. Hopefully, we'll have a full crew by that point. But as I said, lives are a thing and sometimes complicated. But with that being the case here, I do believe that is a wrap up, and I will make any other adjustments and announcements which I may have in the near future, but until then, I don't. But as always, even if it was for a little bit, we truly hope we have been at the very least, a nightly dose of R&R. Good night.